It's fun. No, 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 that's the wrong intro. That's next week's intro. Son of a bitch. I knew it, and I was just telling Karen beforehand, I have to make sure I queued up the right one. Ugh.
Hey, that's what
Well,
happens when
that
we're
surprise
busy.
is out of the basket. Kristen is coming on behind the cards. Okay.
See, there was a reason that happened, though. Everything happens
Right.
for a
Hello,
reason.
everybody. Welcome to Behind the Cards. My name is Bobby, and I am your host for this evening of questions for our beloved guest, Miss Karen, aka Care Bear, Bard of Cards. I'm getting warnings from the audience already. Go easy on my girl, Bobby. We're fragile babies.
Oh, yay.
And
I
she
got
says
my
that was a
girls
teaser
here.
intro. That's right. Karen is she does look cute in the blue pom poms.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. Tom told me I needed barriers, and I was like, you know what? I do, but they've got to be right. So I just saw the
I'm
little pom
gonna
poms. Yeah.
make you bigger
Oh,
so everyone
oh,
can see your pom
oh,
poms.
and look, just for fun, I've got like the grouchy one.
That is awesome. I have a little weed bear, and I don't know where he went with a little marijuana leaf on his tummy. Um,
That's like the childlike spirit that's in me.
right. You look so cute.
Embrace fun.
Oh,
Care
um,
Bears, yes, Heather.
Indigo. Heather is here. Pardon me.
Mwah.
I see who else is watching right now. And Heather, people
And
are going to be joining us as we go on. So, for those who haven't seen the show, um, I ask a variety of guests questions about their spiritual journey based on the 22 cards of the major arcana. It's a well-rounded type of
I love it
questioning process. I really don't understand why it hasn't been done before, but hey, okay, let's do it.
because it was
Um,
meant to be done by you.
that's right. Um, I didn't get to see the intro, stupid YouTube.
Well,
Once it hit her face, I was like, stop!
well, it's a good thing. I love Kristen. She's
I do
fabulous.
too.
I really
Um,
enjoyed reading with her.
so I'm gonna give people a few minutes to join us
Yeah, sure.
so we could chit chat in the meantime. And while you're watching, I told Karen what I'm sending you guys, and she seemed pleased with it. So um,
I'm so
I,
excited. It just
I'm,
it was meant to be because I thought of instantly what I would do like with both of them. So it's a surprise, y'all, if it comes out for
it's a
you.
surprise, and everybody's gonna be like, "Why? Why bring
Yeah,
it up then?
yeah,
Why would you
yeah.
do that?"
And then you'll have to go immediately and sub to Bobby if you haven't subbed to him already, if you get that charm, by
Absolutely.
the
For those who are not part of my channel, if you're watching on, did you set it up to stream on yours?
way. No, I didn't. I wanted to see I
How
thought
good it
it's
was
nice
before
to
I
have
started.
everybody. I wanted to like have everybody just in one place in the chat today. So all the chatters, so you can all see each other today.
Oh, it took me a second to figure out what she was talking about. Yeah, Santa Bobby. Santa
Oh, yeah. I
Bobby.
was like, I don't know. That sounds cute.
Um, yeah, because every time I head into the room to do a broadcast, I come through the door and then I turn around and walk out and go sip, sip, and have to grab my water before Gerald
Yes,
shows up.
I've got water too. Yeah. Mm.
Absolutely. Oh, that's a cute cup.
Oh, thanks. I like I like a
Okay.
little splash of color here and there. I did I have like a poem or two if you want
I
to
would
hear
love to
a
hear a
poem.
poem.
Um
Yes. Before we start, I
yeah.
would love to hear this.
Well, this one probably, people have known me for a while. They've heard this one, and this was like the first one I put on my channel. And I was writing, and I need to pick it back up, writing poems to Tarot of the Abyss by Anna Torian. And I, of course, tagged her in it, to give her credit for her deck and everything and where to purchase it on the actual, US game site. Thought that was the best way to go. But she actually replied to my poem in the comments.
That's awesome.
I was so that was like a big moment for me. I was so stinking excited.
I know the moment you're talking about when Chris Butler replied to my letter when I first saw the Healing Light Tarot. Um, I shit myself. I really did. I was like,
You're like,
please, Chris
what? Yeah.
Butler. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm lucky, like uh my tarot and astrology teacher, he's the same person, that like with Dusty White, like he's had some pretty successful books on Amazon. Like his books will be up, in the top 100 up there somewhere. It was like number one for a little while, but it's so cool. Like you hear and read this person's books, and then you're like getting
it's
to know them. It's
surreal,
so
isn't it?
cool. Yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
And I liked him even more. So that was great too, because what did they say? Something like you shouldn't meet your heroes, like
Yeah,
or
I've
something like that.
had good luck with that. Yeah, it's never
Yeah,
a good idea to meet your heroes. They don't live up
right.
to the image you built up in
And
your
that's
mind.
the thing. Yeah, yeah. And I imagine most times that could be very true. But anyways, that was just kind of where I was coming from on this, and it was on the Queen of Wands, which I don't have that deck beside me. I wish I could like hold it up for you right now, but I don't have it. So, all right. Honor your fire. Honor your fire, the inner spirit that flickers in the ethers. Stoke the flame that urges inspired action. Time is fleeting. Let your light emerge above the horizon. Revere the dreams and visions locked within. Let them be seen, touched, smelled, heard, and even tasted. Birth your ideas into existence. Thoughts remain intangible without the passionate will to manifest. Creation is courageous and bright, vital as the sun's light is to our survival. The sacred flame is a divine gift within us all. Mother this elemental power with unconditional love and respect. Nurture and protect it like a child. Embrace and guard this heat safely. Don't let it spread and wander wild like an inferno. Neglect the fiery spark of life, and it dwindles to a mere ember, dormant until it fades into oblivion. Honor your fire with a steadfast will in hand. Rule it with grace and wear its warm golden crown with appreciation. Honor your fire and the fire of others. Don't shine too bright as to dim another's light, nor be a passive onlooker content to do nothing, whether it be art, music, math, writing, cooking, gardening, architecture, science, whatever it may be, you possess a skill to create. Honor your fire today so your legacy remains long after the ashes fly away. And that's my poem.
Dude, that was beautiful. I don't know if you could hear everybody at home going like this.
Oh.
And I'm not crying. You're
Oh.
crying.
I think that's a really good message for our community as well, to honor
I
each
believe
other's
it.
fires. Yeah. And nurture each other. Yeah.
You've heard me talk on my channel before about how arrogant I used to be. I was a little shit. I was young, pretty, talented, and was a jerk. I was an arrogant prick. And
We
I
had to
tried to
balance
shine
that
so
fire
bright.
energy.
Yeah, I had to shine so bright all the time. I had to outdo everybody else around me. Um, that it cost me a lot of friends. It really did.
I'm sorry.
It took me a long time to learn that lesson, but you know, we grow up. That's
Yeah.
when I was, oh, thank you, Heather. She's so
Yes,
still
of
pretty.
course you're still handsome. I
Um,
don't have a before. You're just handsome.
I was not bad looking. I'm 55 now, but
I'm
yeah,
44.
when I was in my 20s, woo, daddy, I'd have been all over me. Let's say it. Um, so are you ready for the journey, my dear?
Sure.
Okay. She's like,
Let's go.
so let's start off with our first card, the Fool. Now, the Fool is new beginnings, innocence, purity, adventure, rebellion. You are one of the sweetest souls that I've seen on YouTube. Your readings are firm but loving, confidence, encouraging is the word that really strikes me about you. Um, was it always that way from the start, or were you yourself an arrogant little?
I've always been really just kind of this way. I've just always been really, what I had to wise up to though are people who take advantage of that and how to create boundaries more so. And then also there's just people who are like, there's no way, like actually one of my best friends that 20 years ago in college, we're still best friends. And the first time I met her, there's no way she's that freaking nice.
Right?
She's fake. I've just kind of always been like this, but not just, I mean, I'll be polite to people, but I don't go around buttering everybody's biscuits. So,
Okay. The magician. The magician buttering everybody's biscuit. Love that. It reminds me of Roger Rabbit, the one scene my sister and I love, with Yosemite Sam. Oh, my biscuits are burning. My biscuits are burning.
biscuits.
We ran
Yeah,
around saying that for years.
I've seen that. Yeah.
So the magician card is our next fellow. We have willpower, manifestation, creation, communication, and building something. All right. You've been building your channel up nicely. I love watching your shows. I love watching you on everybody else's shows. But
Yes.
when you first discovered that you had gifts, how old were you? That's something I forgot to ask on the last card.
Oh, and that reminded me too. I forgot to mention like Care Bear is because my name's
Oh, well, hell, let's
Karen.
just back up then. We're at the Fool now. So the Fool card means
It's just a quick thing. I thought I should
it's a
mention
big
it.
thing. Yeah. Tell me.
Well, Care Bear was a childhood nickname. Care Bear, yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, she's just a little Care Bear. She's sweet or whatever. But it's still fun. Give people a hard time, but it's all in love.
How old were
But
you
that's
when your
where it
gifts
comes
started
from.
manifesting?
I really didn't understand what manifesting was then. I realized like a big tool behind manifestation is your ability to visualize, right?
No. When did you notice that your feelings were coming true or you had an awareness of people? When did your
Oh,
abilities
I've
start to manifest?
okay, in that kind of way. Oh, I've always had the empathic kind of thing. Being just feeling, or especially like right with people, feeling that
Mhm.
something's like off or whatever. And I really think that comes down to my Mercury placement in Cancer, but it's in the third house too. So, and being a Gemini, that Mercurial energy, and I've got like three planets in Virgo too. So I've got a lot of Mercury in my chart.
That's my boy. Okay,
Yes.
that's yeah.
Yeah, I live in my brain a lot.
So when your earliest recollections of your awareness of other people was emotions.
Hmm. It is emotions, feeling, noticing like little nuances and kind of tapping into that. Just something just feels off that day with them, or I just kind of feel it. It's like a it's just an intuitive thing, and then I just observe more.
And when did you start trying to focus your intentions to create an image to bring those messages in? When did you
Much
take it?
much very this is kind of like a fool and a magician rolling together here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's a unfolding path for me right now. I they say pain really, and just years and wisdom. I needed to get some wildness out of me first. I just like to have fun and do all that stuff. And and then I don't know, when I like left my normal like working job for the first time to stay at home with my son, that's kind of like when things started happening. And I had a girlfriend, her mother had been passed for maybe like, it had been a few years at least. They were finally going through some of her stuff, and she had one of her mom's tarot decks with her. And she just pulled, put it out on the table, and she was like, she's like, I'm not really super great at this, but looking back now, I can remember some of the things she said. And I'm like, she was actually a lot better than she gave herself credit for. But, she had to pull out like the little, it was one of the RWS ones, but it was a little, it
right. The
wasn't much
little white
older. It
book.
was well seasoned. And it was just kind of a special moment. Yeah. It was a special moment that, it was her mother, um,
Right.
that it was like her tarot deck. And it just, and then I was just like
I
hooked. I was in love.
I have my mom's tarot deck. Um, my mom's still alive. I call it, she left the business, so to speak. She changed religions. Um, and I inherited a bunch of stuff, which I'm okay with. She gave me the Mythic Tarot, and
Nice.
I can't use it in professional readings, but I refuse to give it up. It's
Yeah,
just very special to me. Um, the High
absolutely.
Priestess. So, about what age did you finally accept that divine was coming through to you?
Well, I started off Christian, and I still do like believe in God and everything.
Hmm.
It's just like past life, certain ideas about certain things like have changed, and I don't like, the Hierophant type stuff of church, or that kind of thing.
Yeah,
And I don't agree with everything. So, but I've always been drawn to like the mystical, like astrology, and curious about tarot. Like, I think I like
right.
made a Ouija board in high school out of like plywood and like wrote on it with a Sharpie. And then I got freaked out later, and then I just like went and put it in the woods, buried it in the woods.
We used to do that with pieces of
Sorry, that was a
paper
random.
and a champagne glass. We'd turn the
Yes.
champagne glass upside down. Yeah, wow, we were dorks back then.
I
Um,
freaked myself out. Um, yeah, so yeah, I panicked, and I haven't touched a Ouija board since then. It's just something just felt ominous. And I guess that's like me not really consciously taking all of this in, but and I sang. I like to sing too, and write poetry, and I've always been like, a daydreamer and all of those things, but actually like studying and devoting and learning, um, mm, I would say about age 40, so about 4 years.
really? Wow. And
Yeah,
what's your sign again?
Gemini, and then I'm a
Gemini.
Taurus moon and rising.
Oh,
So
so
I've got
once you
some
get
earth
an idea
transits.
into your head, you're very stubborn about it.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, yeah,
I am. I won't
I get
lie.
that.
Yeah.
I'm not, how did my husband used to say it? I'm not something, I'm just right, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So he's very definitive about When he
My
says,
husband likes the
I,
last word and he likes to be right.
everybody's like, no, no messing with the boards.
Oh, my north node is Leo though. That's my life sole purpose
You're meant to be
is
seen.
I'm meant to be seen. My voice is meant to be heard, and that can feel
Awesome.
uncomfortable because Aquarius is the opposite, and Aquarius is more about like bringing, you know, a community together and
Right.
not, yeah.
That's
So,
awesome. You do have a powerful voice when you speak. Um,
oh, thanks.
I call it's one of the gifts of Hermes is to use your voice to relate to people, to get through and to coax things out of them, to in
Absolutely.
order to heal them, type of thing. So I
Absolutely.
totally get that. Your family, let's talk about your family. I hear you have twins.
Yeah. And they're
Mm,
Geminis.
yeah, that's what everybody's telling me online.
Yeah, they're Geminis. Go figure, right?
That's
They have a
awesome.
Pisces moon though and a Virgo rising. So they've got a lot, a lot of Mercury in them too. They are characters. And it's really like I've got four girls instead of two, right?
You have four? Four. Oh my
It's
gosh.
like
I always saw the
four,
twin
right?
comment.
And then there's two of
Four.
me.
Right. So are your girls showing signs? Are your kids showing signs?
My son has talked to me a few times. Like when we have been, like we went to this one cabin and he said he saw something. And I was like, okay. So I talked to him about it and he explains it to me. And it was like the way he explained it wasn't just something, that sounded really, I mean, not like I would be like, oh, that's just in your head, honey. I mean, I might think something to myself. I'm not going to say that to him. But I don't want him to be scared either. So I was trying to come up with reasons what could have caused it. Like I was like, well,
Right.
let's just make sure, see if we can debunk it. Because I love paranormal shows, by the way.
And so do I.
I mean, for years, like I've been watching like when Ghost Hunters, like the very first episode.
I
But
stopped
anyways,
watching
yeah,
Ghost Hunters about the second season because it was always the same thing.
yeah,
That was it.
yeah. Well, I mean, and they're just really like the ghost hunters are like kind of, dry, like they're not gonna poke and prod too much. Uh but anyways, but I admire that about them. They're real. But anyways, my son, he said he saw like a shadow man and in the bathroom. I was like, oh God. And just the way he described it, and he doesn't watch ghost shows and stuff. So it was interesting that he said it that way. And I kind of was like, well, let's just leave the light on,
Right.
and I'm, like if you get scared, I'll, just I can come and stand outside the door or something. So uh, there's things
Pretty
like
cool.
that, yeah. And then my girls, it's kind of a little early to tell, but I feel like there was this one time at my mom's house, and we were in my room, and I was just with one of the girls, and she just kept looking like at this one point or whatever. And I don't know. I just really felt like my dad was around, and maybe I just wondered. I was like, I wonder if she can see him. Uh, so that was kind of one little shine, but I imagine they will. And they've got really big feelings. They're very sensitive. Yeah. I
Does
mean,
it
I
make you
I think it'll be a
nervous?
natural. Yeah.
Yeah. I know sometimes it can worry even spiritual parents when their kids start showing spiritual gifts.
Right.
I don't really think there's any need for parents to worry. My mom was nervous, but my aunts were like, "Yeah, go for it." My cousins
Yeah.
were like, "We'll train you.
Yeah.
We got you."
Right. Like I just
Uh,
want to help you, like explore them and also like try to, be a mama bear and keep you away
Yeah,
from stuff that's not so great, or whatever. Be careful, let's think about the consequences, right?
that
What would
leads
that really
into our
mean for
next
you?
card. The Emperor is all about structure and consequences.
Hmm.
So what we're talking about, that creating that structured life for your kids, so they feel safe with however um, life turns out with their gifts. That's secondary to me. Okay, that's just a tool that we use to get by in life.
Right.
I believe everybody has gifts. It's just a matter of, do
Absolutely.
you acknowledge it? Okay.
Yes. We
Um,
all have intuition and psychic abilities, but it's like a muscle. You've got to use it. And in the long, the more dormant it's been, the longer it takes. You just have to be
yeah,
patient. So
you
I
gotta
do
flex those bad
exercises.
boy muscles. Yeah, exactly what I was saying. Flex those bad muscles.
Yes.
Um, do How do you deal with difficult situations? We all know as Karen as being Care Bear, but
Mm-hmm.
what happens when your claws come out?
That's the Cancer Mercury too. Right?
uh,
This crap, those little the pinchers come out. But I have to really be pushed because the strongest part of me is that Taurian side, that like easygoing. I don't like conflict. I hate it. It's awful. And also though too, I do try to think, I guess this is the most emperor like thing about me,
oh,
is I do try to foresee if I can tame the beast, right? And push down the thing, I can like kind of separate and calm myself enough to just
at
excuse
peace.
myself from the situation, unless it's like, in work or my kids, then I just can't like walk away from it, right? Yeah, I had to deal with it. I just try to
I
deal with it in the most diplomatic way possible. And I'm just not going to give you my energy if you're not deserving of it, right? I'll
That
just,
sounds like
yeah.
strong boundaries to me.
Yeah. And I've gotten tougher skin where I don't let it get underneath so much, right? It's like, what is this moment worth? And what is the fallout after? I always think that. And I try to be careful because I think words do matter. What we say to
I,
people,
I
because they
agree.
stick too. It's not just actions. Yeah.
I believe everyone needs to think about the next step in things. Like my husband and I have this thing where he'll clean the house to help out, but then leave the mop here, leave this there, or he used to, he doesn't do it anymore. And I don't have the strength to follow him around and clean up after him. So when he
You
says he's
don't.
cooking dinner,
Yeah.
I panic, you know,
I
if
get
he's
that.
cooking.
Yeah, I get
And
that. Yeah, because I'm just like, how can you not just go ahead and put the bowl in the sink? Like, I gotta like
yeah,
leave everything everywhere and pull everything out. Like, it's funny.
I'm not sure where I was going with that. It just struck me right then. I was like,
Oh no, no, I love
boundaries,
hearing
boy.
stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. But it's like, how do you lovingly or in the best time possible express the boundaries like that? If I
I think
sense
that's
that they're mad, we need to talk about it later, right? You're not going to really go anywhere if they're an explosive type energy or highly reactive and defensive. It's not going to work. So I just kind of fill people out a little bit on that
I had
too.
to express my boundaries on somebody who wasn't expecting it. Um, they had been doing a repeat thing
Hmm.
by, I don't know, they're reading unsolicited in my place of business. They just come in and start. One time she even brought her cards in and took a person to the back room. And so I
Oh,
finally,
wow.
she did it to one of my clients. And
Wow. This is like at the
um,
shop.
at the shop, and this is
Wow.
somebody who,
Okay. I'm so
you know,
sorry.
has been
Mm.
dealing with some trauma, and I flew off the handle. I that night I contacted her, was like, look, this isn't your first time. You're no longer welcome at the store. Deal with
Yeah.
it. I'm sorry. And she sent back all these things. And I was like, that's the attitude of a child. I'm
Hmm.
telling you what happened. I'm just giving us the avenue to fix it, saying, let everybody calm down. But you're saying, oh, woe is me. Everybody hates me. I'm just leaving the city, which is what she did. So finally, everybody said, okay, bye.
All right. Bye. Bye.
We can't really deal with you. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I just
have you
don't
ever
like to
had to
waste my
deal?
energy.
Have you ever had to set down those kind of boundaries with somebody specifically and just say, be gone?
Yeah, absolutely. There's one that luckily there's a happy ending on that. I mean, okay, of course, like guys, things like that. But this is particularly interesting because in another best friend of mine, that we're still friends back from college, but we had a 10-year gap. She's a Leo, but she's an Aquarian moon too. So I don't know. It's kind of different. And I don't know, like she was just going through a lot, and I just knew that there was no way that we were going to get on the same page here. But it's like I kind of said, truthfully, what was going on, or I'm like, you asked me the question, I answered it. And then,
Hmm.
next thing I know, she's like, get the fuck out of my house or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God. And then, you know what? Like,
Right.
then she's like unfriending me, all this stuff. And I was like, you know what, though? Like, we've done this so many times. Like, I'm not going to go back and grovel. Like, why should I?
Mhm.
So, I just was like, no. And I don't want to see the words because I'm a big person on not sending text, angry text. Why put it in writing? I mean, it's there forever. Like,
I
I
have to
mean,
put it
just
in
saying.
writing because if I don't, if I speak off the cuff,
It
I will
depends
go
what it
overboard.
is.
I will
Yeah.
destroy your soul. Okay, so I have to put it in writing so I can make sure that I'm doing the big brother route first,
If you're,
and then everything
if
else.
it's, I'm just like, if you're angry in your writing, like maybe take a
Oh
pause and
yeah.
like read it the next morning. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good advice. Yeah.
That's kind of one of my things, like if it's something that doesn't need to be in writing, always like it's not always good to have like a running history of it later. So but anyways,
Sometimes I
the
want that running history of how I dealt with the
sometimes,
situation. A paper
yeah,
trail.
absolutely. Um, if you could see the situation that I'm picturing in my head right now, you'd be like, oh yeah, nah. So
And
I
says
yeah,
texting and emails do not express tone. It's important to
that's
speak.
yes.
Yeah, I find that with enough emojis and exclamation points, tone comes
Love
across as just
emojis.
fine. Um,
Um,
so
yeah, there was one thing I was gonna say. I can't. It'll come to me in a minute.
I'm
Keep going.
sorry, I didn't mean to. I have a bad habit
Oh
of
no,
doing
you're
that, but
fine.
I
You're
always
fine.
bring it back to the card. Speaking of card,
Yeah.
The Hierophant is our next card. The Hierophant represents tradition, spirituality, and teaching. You mentioned your teacher. Um, how did you find a teacher? And for
Oh,
everybody watching, Jenny, say hi, Jenny. Jenny
hi,
is
Jenny. Thank you for being
now
here.
one of my new tarot students. So,
Exciting.
yay!
Yay, good. That's
Okay.
awesome.
So, your teacher?
My teacher, yeah, Dusty White. And then also like there's I teach myself a lot of things. I read avidly. I'm a collector of books and ideas. And I was joking around with Ange the other day that like, when they're tarot books and stuff like that,
Yeah.
I'm really picky, by the way, about them. And I feel like I want to find what's good out there, and hopefully, like maybe do some reviews and share it on my channel too, because I've spent a lot of time going through things. But anyways, I digress. But I told Ange, I was like, I read like 3 or 4 books at the same, not like at the same time, but I jump around. Just I would just,
Yeah.
that's that mercurial thing, wanting to shovel a bunch of information in your head, right?
I'm making notes as we talk about questions I want to ask you about. When you read a lot of books, do you do what I do? And I read with the intent of finding the common thread throughout everybody's books. What is the common thread that links this to this to this? And that
Yes.
is what I focus on in tarot. Okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
Everybody's just trying to find a different way to say the same thing. I want to know what that same thing is. I want to understand it inside and out. Okay.
Absolutely.
Do you, I learn better by myself. Do you learn better in your lessons working with somebody or getting the assignment and saying, I got this, you know?
I mean, I like having the lectures or whatever, the live class in the astrology. that's that's I enjoy that part, and I enjoy like the engagement like with fellow classmates. And but I do like to have my independent time and study, and I independently just study things that interest me all the time. I've always been that way. I have a lot of interests.
And do you take students?
Not right now, but one day I would love to. One day I would love to. I want my girls to be a little bit older before I start to do that. But I just call my channel like I'm always sharing and talking about things that I learned about. I want to do maybe some like uh, tarot games on my channel sometime,
I got a
and
good
I
tarot
think it'll be fun.
solitaire game to teach you if you don't know it.
Okay, yeah, I don't know solitaire one. I've got some I think that's such a great way to learn and make it fun learning the tarot, and it really stretches your brain to think of things in a different way. Like
Yeah.
I was joking around on my channel about the Six of Pentacles, like from RWS. Okay, just picture that. And then I was just like, okay, so what could this person be like in real life? Who could they be? And we come up with some outlandish things for fun. Like I said, Costco and the samples.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could see like giving me samples at Costco, and it's engaging like that to think of it, and it encourages you to get more creative
We
and
got a bunch
really
of geeks
put
here
yourself
because
in the card.
we're all saying the same thing. Learning is fun. Yes,
Fun.
it is. We
Yeah, it
read.
is. It is. I've
Um,
always been a nerd like that.
have you ever started studying something that you regretted opening that book, for one reason or another? Either it was something that you totally discarded immediately or fell in love with. I guess I want one of each.
Hmm. Okay, so I'm like on a love journey right now. With I was telling Ange about it. I don't have the name of the book right here, but it's this Akashic Records book, and just the
Ooh.
way she's talking about the energy and how to really manifest, and talking about how you work through the energy levels, and that you've got to get past the physical and the emotional, and then there's the mental, and I forget the other layer before you break into quantum, and just it really is, it's fascinating. And the heart plays such a big role in it too, because your heart has the most electromagnetic, strongest electromagnetic field in your body. So if you can really focus on that and balancing the others, I mean, just think about it. The vibrations that you put out, that's what you get back, right? So it's really been opening my mind like that. I love it.
So we talked about you do tarot.
Hmm.
Um, we talked about astrology.
Yes.
We haven't touched on my favorite part very much the trinkets. I just love watching you and Ange. It is one of my
It's
favorite shows to
fun. I love
watch.
it. I love it. And
I
they're
I've
very intuitive at times. Very,
I've worked with a girl who did trinket readings last year, I think it was, but she was, let's just say she doesn't work in the field anymore. Um, the it amazed me that I had never thought of this and had never seen it. YouTube has opened my mind with all my tribe here. Everybody has their own flavors of everything. It's so awesome. How did you
yes.
stumble upon that? How did you get going with the trinkets?
Well, I had some trinkets when I
Examples.
first started doing the, you know, tarot and everything like that. But I had seen some other readers, like on some channels, use them, and I thought it was interesting, but I didn't have a whole lot of them. But Ange really opened up my brain. Is like,
I
Karen, just
knew
go
it was
around your
her.
house. Go around your house, you know? And then she was like, you like trinkets too? Well, okay, well, come on my show or whatever. And, or we'll do, the show together. And then it just was awesome. And yeah, now I've got like a champagne bucket full of trinkets. And I'm
Getting
from
into
Legos, all kinds of random stuff. It makes you see objects around your house in a different way. And also, though, too, I'm kind of thinking in my head, like, well, what kind of message would this be? What things could they be? I don't always assign one meaning to a charm, too. Like, it's what I'm feeling, what I'm seeing. So,
well, that's the way it is with tarot. I keep reaching back and turning the heater on and off.
oh, you're not bothering me at all. Yeah, you're
The
fine.
tarot has a variety of ways it can be read. The traditional, I love your headpiece. The
Sorry, it was
traditional
silly.
way, the astrology aspect, the Hebrew letter aspect, the runic aspect, chakra aspect. These are all different ways to
Yeah,
use
yeah.
tarot to look at the world, but also people don't take into account this reader is the other part of that
Hmm.
um, process. That is the spirit that drives it. That is the fire that gives it life. It's the air that brings the ideas. It's the water that brings the emotions. The earth that manifests it into your mind. Um,
Absolutely.
I get passionate about tarot. I really do.
I do
So
too.
it just amazes me the trinkets, um, the trinket reading. I really do. And like I say, you guys have inspired me to start collecting my own little trinkets. So I'm looking forward to it. Um,
They add extra confirmation at times too, could just
oh,
be a
that's what
letter
it
or
was.
something that just resonates with them, that with the person you're reading for. Um, yeah, and they'll be like, at times it's like, oh, that's so and so's name, or uh, it could even be like somebody would be like, oh, I just put that in the trunk of my car today, or that's my favorite animal, or it's something that's meaningful to them sometimes when I don't really. It's kind of those ones where I'm like, I'm not really sure why this is here, I'm like, so and a lot of the times those are letters, right?
Yeah.
Or things like that. So I like to share that, and I love it when it comes back that I'm getting, confirmation, and they just know that reading is for them. Like that's just that extra like little assurance, that little magic, right? That connects you.
Heck, and just saying that you guys are going live with trinkets. Yay!
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
On Monday, yeah, too.
and the thing is, I never get to watch you guys while you're doing your readings. I have to watch everything on replay. We have so many friends and so many channels. I try to keep up
Oh,
with
it's
it,
impossible to keep up with everybody. It's so much. Yeah. I
right?
do my best, right?
So where did I go? Here I is. Um, the last thing I want to touch on with the Hierophant card. Do
I'm
you
sorry,
see
by the
people
way.
as tarot cards
Yes,
or
I
what?
do.
I don't notice anything until you bring it up. Let me just say that. Um,
So, yes, like, okay. So I was thinking like this fun idea in my head this week. All right. It would be fun. I was sitting there thinking about all of us readers. Just like I was thinking about y'all like in different arcana, in the major arcana.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm an empress. I'm an empress, my girls and everything, like Care Bear, like I'm a
Yeah.
mama bear. And then I'm like, well, Bobby's got to be a magician. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's my card.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, yeah, because I was instantly thinking of when y'all dressed up on Halloween. And then I'm like, oh man, the high priestess, that's a tough one. Skip that one for right now. Because there's a few contenders, right?
Yeah, we got a
Oh
bunch of
gosh.
amazing
And
people.
yeah, yeah. And then I was thinking, like, what would Ramon be? And I was like, Anne's just the hermit. She's the hermit all the way.
Ramon
Yeah.
is strength to me. Hi,
I was
Kristen.
I was thinking about what would Ramon be. Yeah.
I
Hmm.
think Ramon is strength because he's so quiet, strong.
Yeah.
He is so spiritual and sweet that I can't picture him like grabbing
Yeah.
somebody and slamming against the wall and saying, "I thought I told you." He's quiet strength.
Honestly, Heather, like you really kind of like I could keep just it's you just have like a high priestess thing about you too.
She's the first one I
Yeah,
thought of when you said high priestess.
me too. Yeah, yeah. That's the way I felt about it. And then I was thinking like our friend Rain, she's such a
Mhm.
star. Like she's so healing and sweet and yeah, she just shines like a star.
You
And
said,
yeah. And I thought Gerald, we would probably have to give him his own card and be called the Bluebird, right? From just
right, I
scouting,
could
yeah.
totally do that. Yeah.
I think he just needs like his own card, right?
So the lover symbolizes love, relationships, and choices, but the lovers is also associated with Mercury. Um,
Gemini, yeah.
yeah, I did say Gemini, didn't I? No, I
But
said
yeah, but
Mercury.
it's Mercury. It's yeah, I mean it's mercurial. I gotcha.
Mercury was where I just kind of cut the Gemini
Yeah.
out and went straight for the Mercury. Um, have you ever had a problem communicating your choice of spiritual path with
Yeah.
people, partnerships in particular? You're like, yeah.
Absolutely. 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 I've had to like stand my ground about that. Like, no, I'm not just giving this up. Like, it's a passion. It's a love. Like, I feel uh, I refuse to. There has to be some type of a compromise or give, in either way because I I would feel controlled otherwise.
That's
I
what
wouldn't feel happy.
the
So,
Lover's
yeah.
card is about a meeting of the minds, as far as I'm concerned, because of the
Hmm.
Gemini and Mercury energy. If you don't have that meeting of the minds, then somewhere down the road there's going to be an issue.
Right. And, I've shifted too in, from, I mean, I wouldn't say like, like a super big church girl, but, like kind of shifted all that and then being like more open about what I'm doing right now. And where I live in, South Carolina, the Bible Belt, I mean, it's not
I get
really
that.
like an open kind of thing. So I lovingly protect myself in certain ways, but I show my face. I felt like it was a big thing for me. Instead of like just, like I'm just gonna show my hands or something. So, but my husband, he doesn't really, care for it or get it all.
I neither.
And if he's upset about something else, then of course it puts like a negative viewpoint on that at the moment. And it just kind of does this thing. And we'll cycle back around with it. But I'm like, if this is gonna work and we're gonna stay together, like this is what I'm doing right now.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's a passion. I can't just give it up. And I feel like I have been more tapped in and more especially now, like I'm evolving more and more into really thinking about my energy, trying to see and take responsibility for what I can control and also be considerate, mm,
Do you?
and careful about what I send out. And I just love, and I like to feel joy and I like to connect and I like to talk about interesting things with people. So the Hierophant, I like to think of it like in Anatorian's deck, the Tarot of the Abyss, which I call my soul deck. I like her depiction, the wise one. I like the teacher side of it and think of it like that. The other side of it, I'm just like, ugh, the those Taurus parts of me, I'm like, oh, the Hierophant. Ah, do what's
I
expected
like
of
the
you.
community part of it, and
Yeah.
I do admit that a large, um, like a lot of readers who do this for people, we keep papers for referrals and emergency numbers and things like that. I have a
Oh,
list of churches
absolutely.
in the other room that I send my local clients to go talk to people.
That's a
Um,
wonderful point that you just made. I like that.
I send people to church for their spiritual needs. I do not try to indoctrinate them into my belief system. I do what's best for my clients.
Oh, what I encourage is to empower people, to encourage people to also like look at the bad and the good, the shadows, rather, not bad. It's just we all have shadows, right? And to
Yeah,
also see sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's blowing up around us, but it's how we react and we deal with it. And I like to think more of like the psychology of of the healing benefits of tarot and things like that, and just
that's the way
share
it should
loving
be.
ways and messages. And sometimes it's just good to feel heard, right?
Yeah, I get that. What bothers me about young tarot readers, and this was me, I
Hmm.
admit it, the need to be seen outweighs the need to help people. That
Oh
was
yeah, yeah.
especially true for me as a young man. What changed for me, I've talked about it on my channel before, was I read for somebody and I actually saw a physical death. And
I
you're like, oh,
remember that
it's okay.
story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it just jacked me up. So it
Whew.
made me grow up really fast with tarot. I made a snap decision right there. It hit me. I can't do that. No, I no. Bye. Grabbed my cards and
Yeah.
walked out.
Wow.
So
What an experience.
everybody's still giving tarot cards assignations to the rest of the tribe.
I love
Um,
that.
that was a great idea that you were doing. I do. I walk through the grocery store and to calm me down or keep me focused or whatever. I see people and oh, look at they're the Hierophant or oh, they're the death card right now. They're bringing change, transformation. I don't know if
Oh,
it's good or
yeah,
bad,
all
but
the time. Yeah, all the time. Yeah. And I
then you
think
see the
that's
King
really
of
how you
Pentacles
read
walking
well.
around, the King of Pentacles walking by with the Page of Pentacles. You're like,
Hmm.
sugar daddy.
Yeah. I
The
call the Emperor
Chariot,
the
I
Big
think,
Daddy.
is the big daddy.
Yeah.
The Chariot represents determination, control, and willpower.
Whew.
Is it
Yeah.
easy for you to make a decision and stick with it?
Absolutely not. I'm a Gemini.
Oh, speaking
We're,
of Gemini,
we're mutable
I'm a
and very
Leo.
indecisive.
I'm a Leo Gemini rising. Now, the way
Oh,
I've always read that is I'm outgoing and I like to communicate to other people
hmm,
my outgoingness.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, how would you read that? Just
Well, I'd
off the
also
top of
think
your head.
about, I would also think about the modality too, like the fixed part of Leo. And the mutable part of Gemini could kind of feel a clash between loyalty to one because Leos are very very loyal, like once you put your heart to
Yeah,
something,
they're a
very,
fixed sign. Yeah.
yeah, fixed. Don't like that change, right? But you've probably got like a side of you that does want that, and that can kind of feel conflicting at times when somebody doesn't like change. Hi, Chris. Hi, so good to
Chris
see you.
is
I've got two
here. I
Chris's
love
in
that
here.
book.
I've got, yeah,
Right, I noticed that too.
Christopher, yes, yes.
uh,
And there's Kristen Louise. You were in the intro, yeah.
oh, she doesn't know about that. Um,
That's
so
funny.
just to let you know, Kristen, uh, I, I had the wrong intro queued up for Karen today. It was set for your intro, so I had to turn it off. I was like, no, 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 wrong intro.
It was
And
meant to
it
be.
wouldn't bother me if that was the first time I've done it. It really wouldn't. But I discovered how to switch brands on StreamYard and I always forget to do it. So yeah, whoopsie, she says. So the chariot with
Hmm.
determination, control, and willpower.
It's a
Um,
struggle.
what's the one thing that
It's
you can say
challenging.
you set your feet in on and um don't give up on besides your kids?
Okay, I was gonna say, I mean, one is really obvious, and then to have twins, it's ironic, right? Would think about the chariot. I've got two human beings pulling me either way. Who do I go
I
after?
worked
I
with a
mean, I
girl
feel
as a
that.
hairstylist. The woman I worked with had two sets of twins and two more
Holy.
kids, right? And it was like, stop. Get a TV, girl.
No,
Do something.
no, I did not plan my pregnancy. It was a surprise.
You're like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
but
that's what we're doing then. All right.
yeah, so yeah, um, I cried. I cried at first because I felt old, and then it ended
And
up
is it
being a great
easier for
blessing.
you? Do you find it easy for you to control your emotions?
Hmm.
Right? Do you
Yeah, because
feel you do it in
I
a
feel
healthy
like I've
way?
always been doing that. No, not always. No, I'm learning.
Okay, good.
It's a process. I'll just be honest.
Uh,
There's mistakes I'm sure I still make that I haven't found the realization of that as well. We're always evolving. We're not, if we're not, I think that would be really boring, right?
my favorite meme is the one with the caterpillar sitting out with the butterfly. The caterpillar says, "You've changed." He says,
Yeah.
"I should hope." And he says, "I should hope so." You know,
That's cute.
that's
I love that.
awesome.
That's precious.
So
But yeah, the
strength.
chariot, I don't really have really good willpower though for my own
Me
things.
either.
I get a little burned down, so. But strength, I got strength. I do.
Does it
Yeah,
surprise
I
you
do.
the level of strength that you are capable of producing? Do you surprise yourself with your own strength at times?
Yeah, sometimes absolutely getting through things that frighten you. I really was careful about my thoughts during the twin pregnancy. I was pretty miserable. I won't lie. It's like out of here. It was awful. They gave me a hernia. Um, it
Don't
was like
yeah.
literally, yeah, literally. So, yeah, people are like, "Are you scared?" Or whatever. I'm like, I'm just trying not to think about it, really. I mean, because what am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do about it? Like, me thinking about it, I'm gonna start having those like anxiety thoughts because I really struggled with that a lot, and I think that's where my spiritual practices, the meditation, and all of the information and things I've been reading, and also from psychology. I even like to use DBT cards sometimes in my reads, and I have like cats against anxiety. And I like to put in things that people can actually use to practice, like doing, gratitude affirmations right now in my bucket of quotes. So I like to offer tools for people to use. But yeah, strength. Oh, yeah, yeah, absolutely. I sometimes to my own detriment hold back because I have some very highly reactive people in my life. Um, and some it's just some mental imbalances as well, which I have my own.
I
As
was
a
gonna say that would be me.
yeah, I have ADHD and depression, and I used to really battle with anxiety, but meditation really helped that, and also just experience in life, realizing like, when somebody throws fire at you, always just throwing fire right back doesn't always it's always not the best thing because some people it really just lights it up and ignites it and the next thing you know you've got like a wildfire going on, right?
Did you see Shang-Chi, the Marvel movie?
No, I
No.
haven't. No,
All
no.
right.
I've seen a lot of them, but I haven't seen
It's
that one.
he
I
has
have to
these
watch
rings
it.
of power bracelets that he wears that he can control. It's really cool. But
Cool.
um, one of my favorite scenes in the fight scenes with his father, who also controls the rings, his father threw them at him, and he used his powers to grab him and do this kung fu matrix shit with it. So
Wow.
the fire that, or the power that was being thrown
Mm-hmm.
against him, he judoed that shit and
Yeah,
turned it
yeah.
into his favor. I love doing that. When somebody comes at me with hot anger, I
Mm-hmm.
try to grab it, take it, play with it, and give it back to him. You know,
Yeah.
I
Sometimes the
will
best
judo
thing
that shit.
is especially like if mm, I mean, I'm not saying, and I'm really careful with this word, is, like it's a narcissistic statement. I'm not saying they're a total narcissist, but when we get into certain emotions, I feel like we can swing in certain ways in our character, right? And when I know, like, I'm like, if I'm gonna lose too much of my energy. I only have so much energy to go around. And I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. I don't even want to hear it. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to come back at it, but I put a boundary and I just say it calmly, right? Or just like, I've got
There's
to go. I can't listen to this.
that's
Let's talk later.
good. People don't realize boundaries are there. They work both ways. They may, how do I want to say this? The fact that I'm trying to stay calm isn't for my benefit. Okay. If if I lose my shit, it's not pretty. And I say this because I used to have a troubled past. So I try very hard to maintain my calm, my center, my balance. If you have decided to intentionally push me so far where I have lost that control, then
Hmm.
I am upset at myself more than you for
Yeah.
allowing myself to get upset. I'm still going to take it out on you though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I had a moment a couple of weekends ago. So, but I was pushed. I was pushed, not literally, but yeah,
I was
I,
doing
yeah, it was just time. It was time to unleash.
Unleash the beast.
Yeah, yeah.
Did
Yeah,
you
that
see
is.
me and Joey talking on our 420 show the other day? When we were talking about the Lord of the Rings. You shall not
Yes.
pass.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a really big grumpy Care Bear in me. Like, that's sharp and just
I'm sorry they pushed you that far.
but it needed to happen. And actually I felt better later because I did set and say some things I needed to say in that way. And that was the only way it was going to come out when I'll just put it bluntly when I just didn't give a fuck anymore about it. So, I just Yeah, it was time.
Uh, Heather says, "Release the Kraken." Uh, and Crystal
Yeah.
says, "There is
Yeah.
narcissism, and narcissists, everyone has narcissism at some point in their lives. Actually,
Yes.
narcissists are much rare." I
Yeah.
have a theory, and a lot of people have taken great pleasure in telling me how stupid that theory is, but um, I think
Imagine.
imagine people, I think narcissists and power vampires and leeches that way are empaths gone awry,
No, yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
wounded empaths that have turned
hmm
to the dark side, so to speak.
Yeah. And they're
Um,
taking inner pain. It's a projection of pain back.
yeah,
That's actually something that's probably um it just triggers and it it triggers a response that makes something feel uncomfortable, whether that taps into what you're insecure about yourself, about what you were disappointed with yourself about, and then now you've got something else like, oh, I'm disappointed about this too, but I'm going to make it about, you're doing this to me. Like, let's just take more accountability first. This just didn't come out of nowhere, and think like, am I overreacting to this, or am I? And I realized like not everybody can do that at that moment, in the heat of the moment. But I kind of disconnect like in moments like that a little bit, where I feel like my head is just like somewhere over here and I'm like disconnected, because it's like the way I can uh what is the alchemize that, or to
uh,
balance that. It's almost like I can be like standing outside of myself while
I
this is
see
going on.
that.
I don't know how to explain that.
Topaz says narcissist slash empaths, two sides of the same potential, adults breaking as children. Yes, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
Topaz. That is what
yeah.
I'm saying.
And
Um,
empaths are like a
which
light.
tells me,
Yeah,
which tells me also that our leeches are empaths who can be rehabilitated in my head. You know,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
they can be turned to forces of light if they learn to use their shadow for the right reasons. Um, I get all weird about that stuff. So we've got the
Not
hermit,
weird.
which symbolizes introspection, wisdom, and solitude.
Such a hermit
Um,
right now.
what does the hermit mean to you? I know Virgo.
Yeah, it's a Virgo. I actually, there was a time like when the Hurricane Helene mess hit here, and I didn't have like power for 5 days and stuff like that.
Mm,
I had that hermit thought, and I made like a little note to write a poem, grabbing like the hurricane lamp. It just like really made me like think all of a sudden that I had this like lighthouse like kind of pop in my head. I feel like a hermit is like a beacon, um, that's like, by itself, but also, there's that beacon of light, the knowledge, but it's meant to be taken and expanded after that, right? But I just see the hermit as that. And yeah, a lot of just learning and enjoying being present
right.
and taking that time to hear your inner voice. But at the same time, you can be a light to others too. I don't always see it
It's
totally solitary. Sometimes I feel like it's more figurative, but I do spend a lot, I like to be alone. I mean, I got kids
people
all the time.
call the hermit card has a bad rap as far as people look at it and they think, oh, it's time to shut themselves away from the world. That's not necessarily true. It doesn't necessarily mean a physical thing. It could be
Right. It can
a
mean
mental,
different. Yeah.
you know, just
Yeah.
focusing on what has come before,
hmm
realigning it, and using it to move forward because it's going into the Wheel of Fortune. So the Hermit card is where we decide how we want to bring our fortune in. We're reevaluating ourselves. Looking back, are there
Absolutely.
um, major things that you wish you would have done a little differently?
Who doesn't have those things, right?
I refuse to think that way. I can't think that way. It'll drive me crazy.
But yeah, yeah, but there's a but. It's like I'm
But
learning about regret. I think I even said something the other day, like on Ange and Rain's thing, their show, uh, about regret and not wasting more time being regretful. It's just like, okay, accept it. That time has passed. This doesn't fit into my life right now. What can I do that I can put and go forward? And rather than, a year later, be like, well, crap, I'm still in the same spot I was a year ago. And I don't feel any better about it. Regret is a time sucker. I mean,
the
and
regret is,
it's low vibe, right? Yeah.
do you know
And
one of the reasons I don't regret is because I think, and I always have, and Marvel stole the idea from me, I still believe it, in the multiverse theory. All right.
hmm
Uh,
yeah.
I had it first. They, in this world that I live in, yes, I'm dealing with these things, but in another world somewhere, because I'm dealing with this, I'm living a
hmm
better life. Okay, so I'm okay with that. As long as I know that somewhere out there I'm having a great life, I can deal with the struggles that I'm dealing with because I know it's worth it. That's part of my philosophy. Again, I get
And
weird
I
when I talk
also,
about
though, too, it's like, yeah, but we didn't do it. So do we even know that we would have been happy doing it? It would
right.
have worked out right. I mean, that's just assuming a lot of things at the same time. In a
Yeah,
perfect world, it
exactly.
went exactly to plan. No, I think it's part of enjoying more of the journey than always the destination. Know your destination or kind of have an idea, but be open along the journey. Like, I think that's a big part of manifestation too, is
Yeah,
to co-create, allow miracles, allow things to happen that, little things, to not plan exactly how to do every little part of something that you don't even really know what the right how is.
right.
You have to leave some room for magic and learning and growing and being open to opportunities that are meant for you, right?
Speaking of
So,
opportunities, we got the Wheel of Fortune. Um,
yeah, yeah,
Jupiter energy right here.
fickle. Yeah, it
When
is fickle.
how do you handle positivity? How do you handle good things?
Uh, well, the Taurian side of me is very big into the senses. So I really enjoy good things that happen. I like to, it lights me up. It does. I get excited and I just enjoy it, really, while it lasts.
Yeah, that's good because that's kind of what I was going for. I know people who can't be happy when good things happen to them because they're just waiting for the other shoe to
Yeah,
drop.
right. And I've been there before, and that's part of dealing with anxiety, getting out of your head like that. And it's almost, you're whispering spells to yourself to put exactly what you don't want to happen out there to come right back at you because you're speaking, you're thinking it into an existence. I really believe thoughts become things or can become things.
And so sorry, I'm shouting in chat, but I get excited with these
Yeah,
conversations.
I do too. You probably can sense that a little bit.
Yeah, I think all of us, when we watch a good show, we're like, yeah,
And
yelling
I
at the
love
screen
that.
along with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
You know,
because
I
I mean,
love
I'm
when we pull
excited about
cards
the
with
things
each
I'm
other.
learning. Sorry. Yeah,
Um,
I get excited.
is everybody happy for your
No,
growth?
no,
I
no,
phrase
not
it that
always.
way
Yeah.
because of the Libra aspect of justice, the partnerships.
Always
Oh,
balancing the scales. Always.
right.
They're never
Has that
balanced, right?
been a huge problem? Or has that been a benefit? Because I've used my skills to benefit me in a relationship before. Like when you get the feeling that somebody needs something or wants something and you
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Things like that.
do it for
Yeah.
them and they're like, "How did you do that?" And you're like, "Really?" Yeah.
But
Um,
I'm with the Scorpio too, so they like I don't know how they know like everything, right? Like it's just, like, they can just peer inside of your soul.
See, Scorpio doesn't confuse me. It's not the Scorpios that confuse me. The
Oh,
house thing.
I'm not confused, but I'm
Oh,
confused
okay.
how they know certain things or whatever.
Mm,
So like they're the master detectives.
yeah,
It's
they are.
really hard to hide, or even when you don't think you're hiding something, you're like, and then there's that suspicious,
All the
like
water signs are like that. The Pisces, that's what I was going to say. The 12th house confuses the crap out of me.
well, it should, yeah.
Well, I should hope so.
I mean, it's
Uh,
all about like, almost stepping into the next dimension, right?
right.
Yeah.
I call it, well, you've seen me do my readings online. I call it the wild card spot. Um,
Yeah.
this could
That's
be
perfect.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's turn
Yeah.
it over and see what it is.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like to, there's a spread I learned and it's a manifestation spread, but it's zodiac. It's really cool. That is when my teacher created called, I think, the roundabout. And on position 12, what comes out, it could be what is your sacrifice that you have to make to have this thing? And, you know, and that's a really good thing to think about because that is a house of sacrifice as well. And that's usually where big shifts happen too, when there comes to a point like I can't sacrifice that anymore. There's, tendencies to escape. Um, but that's where our, those deep intuitive emotions and dreams can be very dreamy. Yeah, dreams. But yeah, the what do you have to sacrifice? And it could also be like secret enemies too in that one because uh that Neptune, the illusion, right? So
I love that. I
it's
was gonna
it's a
say,
badass spread. I love it.
I'll tell you the truth. I say it all the time. I don't use the Tree of Life or Celtic
Me
Cross
either.
or any of the
I
spreads. I
do
use
Celtic.
a chakra spread and a zodiac spread. Those are the two I go to. And I just started, well, I just completed a 22 card spread that's
Wow.
supposed to be used like the Grand Tableau type
Hmm.
situation.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'll send it to you if you like it.
Sure. I like
Um,
new stuff. I do the Celtic and then I've got the roundabout and that one takes a while. I love a Celtic. That's a really solid go-to for me. And then I have a wonderful um you versus them like in relationships and stuff like that. And it's really like you can just really like mirror and see the energy like, you know, boom, boom, boom. But that's something that, I've got my ethics behind too. And it would have to be the right situation, right, to do that. But it's an amazing spread. And three carders. And I just assign like meanings in my head, most of them, because I like that. Because sometimes when you don't, like you get like the blob, right? You're like,
yeah.
you've just got to go with your gut on some of them. So then I'm like, oh man, I wish I would have done this
Well,
instead
I
of fight.
sometimes I start off with a certain spread in mind, like I'm going to
Hmm.
use the
But
energy of the
yeah.
zodiac on this one, or I'm going to use
Hmm.
the energy of the major arcana, or whatever it is. But sometimes halfway through it switches, and I'll shift gears, and it
Yeah.
just feels like the right thing to do. But I try not to do that.
You
But yeah, I end up
just kind
doing
of
both.
run with it. I don't have a lot of like total rules, and shuffling is definitely not like a ritual with me. I mean, I like my ruffles, riffle shuffles.
I
But
won't.
then I overhand a middle, French cut. Um, I might do reversals. I might not at that moment. I don't have a certain number of shuffles. Like after once I overhand, I'm like listening uh for that or that intuitive sense that it's the right time.
Sip, sip.
So that's me. Yes, I need to subscribe to you.
So, um, ethics, roots and waves. Ange says,
Hmm.
ethics. What an amazing topic for a live stream. I want
Oh,
in on
God,
that.
Jonathan. Oh,
I'm big on this. So when you do this show, let me know. I want in. Hey, Jonathan, how
yes.
you doing, both?
Hi, Jonathan.
Uh,
Aloha.
let's take it on to justice, the next card. Fairness, balance, and truth.
Yeah,
Oh, we were already on to justice,
yeah,
weren't
yeah.
we? Okay,
I
I hang
it's
man.
really hard to balance this, gals. Really hard.
We do our best, but I tell people we're never going to balance the scales. It's a
No.
constant thing.
And
So
that's the
stop
secret
putting
behind
that much
Libra.
pressure on yourself. Never gonna be better. Um, oh, she says she's gonna send me an email. She's planning the panel. Hell yeah, I
Yay.
want in on that. You know who else you need to get in on that is Mr. Gerald. He's very definite about his ethic ideas.
Yeah.
Um, the hanged man, surrender, perspective, and sacrifice. How do you
Yeah.
handle surrender? Is it
Hmm.
easy for you to give up that kind of control?
Okay, so control, I don't feel like I have a need to control others.
Hmm.
I just don't like my independent spirit to be threatened. And I don't like feeling controlled. I, in my head, just like for it to be more of like an even, uh, more even exchange, unless, it depends, like what the situation, okay? But like in a relationship, right? I mean, that's the house of Libra about, your
Right.
relationships, right? So, um, I don't like, I hate it when people abuse their power. I hate it. It's disgusting to me. And I'm not somebody like that. I look in and like I've got to be, in charge of like, so I am one who will to go with the flow on things. Like I don't always have a strong opinion about where we're going to eat or where we're going to do this or um but there's certain things like I will have an opinion about it, and I don't like being told, in a demeaning way, like, well, you're just wrong. I'm like, well, we can disagree, but like, let's be respectful, that kind of thing. Um, I don't
Yeah.
know. I might have just went a little
I don't
off
really have a
topic.
question for the hanged man for you because um, it pretty much we've covered what I wanted to talk about in previous cards for the hanged man.
Yeah, I am in a space too with the hangman can be, that sacrifice where it's just like, um, it's the martyr, right? A little bit
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
that's the thing. If it's upside down, I read it as sacrifice without cause, or
Hmm. Or just being
a
really
useless
stubborn.
sacrifice, or wanting to have
Hmm.
that victim mentality so everybody sees you.
Yeah. And
Um,
unless the other cards
so
are positive, I would say, or more positive, I mean, it can be sometimes somebody who's like finally, ready to release themselves from that. But I feel like it's
yeah.
more like that stubborn kind of, or the other typically. I haven't seen it a lot the other way where I felt that way.
Well,
Reversals,
people can.
reversals.
What did she say? What did I miss? Uh, they're still hooking up the ethics show. That's awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah, yeah. Do you see his choice to be there? Is the picture happening to the hangman? Well, it may be in the traditional sense of the hangman, like it was originally just straight out like they're being is like treason, right? In the old, and
Yeah,
it's evolved. It's evolved, and
I
the
think that you're
halo,
right. I
yeah.
didn't realize the first experience I had with the Hanged Man, I was taught to view it as Odin sacrificing himself for
Hmm.
knowledge on the tree of life. And I think that's where I developed the what are you sacrificing yourself for attitude. Are you
Yeah,
sacrificing yourself needlessly? Is this truly
right,
a selfless act? What's the motivation behind it?
right. And I feel like just the dynamic, if you put the Empress with the hangman, that would be things that I have to put to aside for because of my children. I
Hmm.
can't just separate them from that. So it complicates certain things, and you just feel like you just are like have to kind of pause. And yeah, it can be a little frustrating, but it doesn't always feel good, right? It doesn't always feel good sometimes when we have to put ourselves in that those things. It's
No,
a
but
complex
sometimes it
card.
is necessary. Yeah,
Yeah,
all
it's very
I think that's
complex.
why it's so difficult for us to like walk away from tarot. It's complex. It's a puzzle, It just
Yes, it's
has
a
layers
puzzle
and
to me.
layers.
Yeah, it's a puzzle. Yeah. And I think
And
that's really what interests me.
I've been doing tarot 40 years, and to this day, I'm still learning different
Me
aspects of
too.
it. Yeah,
And I like new
it's
ideas and yeah, connections. And I feel like there's great things to always teach each other too about it. And we might be ready at that stage. You can't teach all of these things at once. You can't absorb it all.
no.
And memorize and all, and then be able, like, once you've got the memory in there, then you start to tap in, experiences. But I think it's just like with astrology, I learn in, layers, and you
Plus,
mature.
tarot is very personal. So any of
Hmm.
your readings are going to be based on your human experience that you lived yourself. So my
Yeah,
readings are going to differ from your readings because we have different life experiences. That's
absolutely.
just a
Yeah.
fact. We have different starting points. I may be starting off in the swamp and you may be starting off on top of a beautiful penthouse, but we're seeing the same thing just from different
Absolutely.
angles. Um,
Absolutely.
I get preachy.
No,
Temperance
that's not
embodies
preachy.
balance, moderation, and harm. Did we skip death? I am always trying to skip death.
Yeah,
Change and
death.
transformation.
I I I want change, but I hate change at the same time. And that's that Gemini Taurus in me too, because you know how Taurus is very fixed,
I'm very
very
specific on
stubborn.
my viewpoints on astrology because I do tarot astrology. I don't do astrology like you do. For everybody watching, I'm not an astrologer like Karen. Karen is I. I use the modalities, the basic definitions, traditional meanings. Like for me, Virgo will always mean health. Okay, when I see it pop up, physical.
It's a big, yeah, health is a big part of the sixth house,
Um,
but service to others too. And a lot of times that affects the health, right? Over service.
exactly the
Yeah,
motivation
and
behind
all
it.
the
What's
nervousness, there's that mercurial nerves, and yeah, they just hide it better than Gemini does. I love, God, I love astrology. That's a whole nother thing. If you ever like want to chat about astrology, but I think it's all about
I
like looking
do.
at the energy and the elements. And I mean, you know a lot more than you,
I need you on a
yeah,
show. I'm trying to put one together with Marion Kirk.
that would be amazing. I love her. Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
the woman is, I mean, you and Marion, I can never keep up in a conversation, but I'm good at asking questions. So I would like to be a part of
You're
that.
an excellent interviewer. Yes.
Oh, thank you very much. Sweet. I really don't have a question for the death card. That's one of the wild cards that I leave and say, what does it mean to you?
Oh, a total transformation, and it's not going to feel really pretty the whole time, but it needs to be done. And I know I'm dealing with some things that it's not so easy, you know. And yeah, death means a lot to me actually in that regard, because it's a triggering card too. I think it triggers extreme emotions. I mean, not just because like when somebody's like, "Oh my God, death," I'm like, "Wait, wait, 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 wait," you
That's the
know, like
best when the death card
calm
comes
down. It's
up.
like just like I'm like,
When
okay,
the
let's
death
just
card
take a
comes
breath.
up and you
Yeah,
accidentally go, ooh. I
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just like
love
take a
that.
breath, okay? Like I don't, but
I'm like, no, calm down.
yeah,
That
yeah,
ooh
yeah.
wasn't what you think it was.
Yeah, just know they're if they don't know anything about it, they're gonna freak out and gotta,
Right.
yeah, prepare them for it. Like, no, it's
My
not.
friends make fun of me because I
Yeah.
do two specific things. I flip my cards in a
Hmm.
certain way, whack, like that, and I I have a habit of grunting or saying shit when I'm reading, like yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting. You know you're in trouble. It's
I'm
like,
trying to twist it in my head to say, okay, I'm not going to tell you you're headed for financial ruin. What I'm going to try to do is say,
yeah,
you
right?
might want to watch your finances at this point in time. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. I mean, and sometimes it's just like, oh man, I don't even, this is a new person entirely. I don't know. I mean, it is like, welcome to my channel. Here you go. Like,
Joey, the girl I had on my channel the other day, she is very direct with her readings. I mean, things
hmm.
that I try to sugarcoat, she
Yeah.
will tell you straight out, but then immediately provide um,
Yeah.
expansion on it to
Yeah.
heal or help. She doesn't
Hmm.
just point out a problem, and I admire that. I love that woman. I really do.
Yeah. I have a tendency to say right beforehand, it's like, I, these are the cards that came out.
Yeah.
And just know I'm not going to BS you. Okay. Let's talk about it. And it's kind of where I just start there and just hold it up. And then just calmly, as calmly as I can, let's just talk about it, right? Oh,
Sometimes it is so hard to maintain composure in readings when you're trying to
yeah.
give a message to a resistant person who has
Yeah.
asked you about a specific topic and you tell them straight out, and they're like,
Hmm.
well, yeah, but that doesn't mean this doesn't mean they're trying to twist it around.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're
Yeah,
going,
or like
oh,
they're like, "Oh no, that's not it," or whatever, and it's just like even after the read, it's like later you're like, "Nah, that was it."
my
You can
friend
say
D
no, but
just
I know it
yes.
was it.
My friend D was telling me just yesterday that she did a reading and the guy was so resistant. He would not
Hmm.
give anything. And
Oh,
she was telling him the definite answer to what he asked her. And he
right.
says, well, that just doesn't resonate. And she said, okay,
Hmm.
30 bucks, please. And that was
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You know? And he says, what?
Yeah.
She says, you asked a question. I answered your question. We've been in here half an hour. $30, please.
All right.
So
I love Miss D.
I
And if
love
you're
her.
watching this later, Miss Tara D, I love you.
She's awesome.
Yes. Yes.
Let's see. So we have temperance, which embodies balance, moderation, and harmony.
Yeah, right.
It's also
Yeah.
associated, um, I'm not going to remember the word. I know it's not Sekhmet, that's an Egyptian goddess. Um, but it means prop, something that
Hmm.
supports and gives the space to heal you.
Hmm.
Um, where do you find the energy for the world healing that's taking place right now? Because I know you try to focus your will towards world healing. Am I wrong?
Like on a but one person at a time, like, or just collective, yeah, collective messages. But I really like the interaction with others too, and hoping that, like, it's like a butterfly, right? The butterfly effect. Yeah. Like,
So,
if something good comes out of this, it's an expansive type thing, right? Um, but yeah, I want to I just want to help. Yeah, and it helps me.
so do you know what the butterfly effect is to me? I know what it is. Step on a butterfly, it changes everything. But to me, the butterfly effect, when I think of it, is I'm nurturing this little caterpillar and they're going to turn into a butterfly and they're going to go out and they're going to nurture some little caterpillar and that person's going to nurture a caterpillar and it spreads.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's the butterfly effect to me. And
Yeah,
yes, I
that
like that.
exactly. Yeah. Just said a more eloquent way. I like yours better.
I just get really high, so I have a lot of time to think about those things.
But yeah,
Uh,
that's exactly what I mean. Yeah, it's building up and nourishment in yeah, like with pollination, we're like pollinating.
pollination.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to get pollinated. So we we have the devil card, which
Oh Lord.
symbolizes, and I'm
Oh.
sober. That's the whole thing. It symbolizes temptation, materialism, and control.
Mhm.
Um, Again, we're back to the Hebrew letter is my favorite aspect of this. Capricorn used
Uh,
to be until I learned the Hebrew. The Hebrew letter for this is ayin, which means eye, the eye that sees past the bullshit. Okay.
okay, I gotcha. I gotcha. Mhm.
How do you handle people around you when you see their bullshit for what it really is? Are you able to?
I'm just
I think you know what
thinking.
I'm trying to say. When somebody's sitting there
Mhm.
lying to your face and you're nodding, okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, does are you able to keep your impressions and intuition separate from worldly interactions without letting it color?
I feel like for the most part, I mean, it might like distract me a little bit, right? And then I kind of have to like reset myself a little bit. And that could just be like taking a breath, just a quick breath or a little clearing there. But it can throw you off just a little bit, right?
Right.
But I'm not like I like to think about what my emotions are and stuff like so I'm not a very reactive person. But laughter, I like laughter or whatever. And sometimes, I can say some things that, it's a little zinger or something, but it's not bad or whatever. It's just kind of funny or just, where you're
Hmm.
just giving somebody a little bit of a hard time because you're
Light
giving me
shade.
one. A
Yeah.
light shade.
Light shade.
Just a little light shade. And that could be like that Gemini quality. Sometimes we speak really quickly before we think about what just came out.
And is it easy for you to cut people out of your life that don't serve you or are difficult to be around?
Well, on the most part, yeah, but when there's eighth house contracts and stuff like that, or just things that is more complicated, right? That's when you get in that eighth house. It's all the things that you were intermingled your life. And I'm not just saying like, marriage or whatever, but just even our families too, other people's money and stuff like that.
Other people's
It's
money.
murky, right? And entwined. Your money's intertwined with each other, right? That it complicates things.
Yeah, it
Murky.
does.
It gets murky. So
Mercury.
yeah, yeah, it's something like that. So that's that stagnating factor of Scorpio in the water, right? If you think about it too, like a swamp.
I
So
like that.
You just think about that. Yeah, stuck in the
I'll write that
mire
down.
there. Yeah. Thanks.
Sorry, let me write that
That's
down.
part
I'm
of the
stealing that. Hold on.
astrology.
Well, see, this is what I mean. I don't
Yeah.
study astrology. I study tarot
Yeah,
astrology.
but
Um, I
that right
tried
there,
astrology, but realized that my eyes were starting to roll back in my head, and so I had to stop for my own personal safety.
they just came out like with too many terms right off the bat. My teacher is very like has a very specific teaching method where we just start out talking like polarities, what sun, moon, things like that, and think about the energy, think about the world, and then we build up elements. Like you don't even talk about. You're not. By the way, you're not allowed if you're taking actively class. Like you're not allowed to bring up terms before until he says it. I love my teacher though. Like he's really super funny, but he doesn't take crap from anybody too.
And
Like
do you learn online?
we Zoom, yeah, like
Yeah.
yeah, personal like a small
I'm
group
like,
of us
hmm.
do that. Yeah. It's fascinating, but then he has like online modules where he's actually taking the things that I might be in some of those recordings or I'm saying my name in those recordings at times because he's recording material to release a much more
Right.
affordable way for people that can't you know I got a great deal though. I feel like for doing it. I don't regret any part of it. I love it.
That's awesome. The tower, upheaval, sudden change, and
Oh, that's good
revelation.
tower. Yeah.
When I say tower, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What's the first aspect you associate?
Oh crap. What's coming? We're like, oh no, like it's like it's like getting hit by lightning, right? Literally. Like and it's like, oh, and whether it's like an epiphany that you had, like it's not just a little thing. I mean, it's a revelation, but if it's
Yeah,
more than likely though, it's something that's smacking you right back in the face in your 3D, I find, things that I mean it shakes you up for sure, right?
I was looking for my tower card in this deck because it is my favorite representation of all
Sometimes I like
tarot
a good
cards.
tower though, like sometimes when, it ends up being a good thing. It's just a little
I
uncomfortable.
should have done this first. It's the True Black Tower. I'm going to be looking at it or looking for it as we talk. And
Sure.
by the end of the show, I will have it. But it's a woman basically cut in half by like a statue, shattered.
Wow,
It
that's
for some
powerful.
reason is a powerful card.
I would probably like want
And
to write about that. Yeah.
yeah, this
That's
deck is
yeah.
beautiful. Of course, it does have dorky things, like this is the strength card. Yeah, that's a
What's what?
hat. He ate the person. Okay.
Oh no!
Right?
Lion.
You're like, bad kitty,
Bad
bad
kitty.
kitty.
Bad.
Um, yeah, I love this deck, but it took me some getting used to, I'll admit, and you can't shuffle it.
How do you read
Um,
that strength on that one?
uh, I've always read strength in a certain way. If you go back and watch my videos
Yeah.
on
I mean, I read the
it,
artwork too, and that's why I was kind of like, I don't know how the artwork would
strength
shift
has
strength
always
for me.
been Chris Butler, what I was telling you about, this is one of the first
Hmm.
things we talked about, because he gave me lessons on how to use his deck, and we've struck up a great friendship. Um, but I've always said that the strength card to me, it takes the lion a lot of strength not to rip somebody's face off.
Heck
Okay,
yeah.
it takes a lot of strength to overcome that fear and that anger and that anxiety. So that's the
Hmm.
angle that I always come with from the strength
Yeah.
card and the chakra hold, raising power.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
uh,
really, you are the lion and the person in the strength.
yeah,
Yeah.
Let's see what everybody's saying. How funny he ate the person. I know. I was like,
I'm like, wow.
am I seeing what I think I'm seeing here? You know?
Wow.
So yeah, that's tarot is interesting. Everybody has their
That's
viewpoints on
fierce.
things. And that's why
Yeah.
I do this show. I want to understand people's viewpoints on where they're coming from.
I love comparing artwork and decks. Like comparative tarot, I love.
I do, and I realized the other day when Joey was reading next to me that I was enjoying looking at the cards she put down next to the cards I put down and doing a comparative grand
Yeah.
spread. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And I love
Um,
comparing, like, the same card in different decks and stuff. Yeah. I'm a nerd like that.
so the star symbolizes hope, inspiration,
Mm,
and renewal.
yeah.
It's also a hook.
Yeah.
The Hebrew letter zadi means hook that
Wow.
draws you towards spirituality. Um, what drew you towards tarot? Like what drew you towards training? What drew you towards wanting to help the people in the world with your gifts?
Well, part of that is
Because
finding your
everybody,
purpose, what interests you. But I'm like infinitely like curious, and then once I'm trying something out and I'm starting to build that relationship with it, right? And feeling that and being like excited about what I've learned about and wanting to share that because I think it could help other people. And to have that interaction and
yeah,
these experiences with others, it's nice. It feels good. I mean, we're people, we're human by nature. We're not meant to be alone too, right? I want to give back, and I'm a very nurturing person. I guess that's where you get back to the Empress. And I'm a life path 6. So yeah, service, unconditional love. I mean, it's like kind of ingrained in me, and it's also um, something too that
six,
it you're always kind of pulled at the same time, right?
six is in tarot a rebalancing, a reharmonizing. And
Yeah.
that's basically because of on the tree of life, the sixth sphere is called Tiferet, and it's the center of the tree of life. It's what
Hmm.
balances everything. It's where everybody, it's the Christ consciousness, is what it's called. Um, Six has always been a great number that
Yes.
I've resonated with. It's just healing after trauma. And this is the card that I was looking for.
Oh,
Okay, that's the tower.
wow.
All right. Um, when I saw this,
Oh,
isn't that cool? It
that's
just speaks
beautiful.
volumes. It's not just physical destruction. It speaks of the true destruction
Hmm.
of inner turmoil, and I just love that card. I love that picture
It's
of the card.
beautiful.
What draws you in, my love?
Like what do you mean?
Well, you're being led towards something. You're
Hmm.
evolving. What do you think that is? Where do you see yourself going spiritually?
Well, part of that's a little bit of a journey, but there's
You're
obviously
like, I don't know. Let's find out.
I think it's just to share my voice somehow, and as long as I'm doing that, I'm open to the process. I want to figure out because I feel like this suits, being a mother and being able to be with my children too. I need some more flexibility. So I think it's like a great goal that I have is to build to make this, what I do, right? But I don't have and I'm careful about this too. Like I don't got to keep your ego out of it, right? And to stay
Yeah.
humble and honest with it. But I just get excited about learning and I just want to share that too. So teaching one day would be highly interesting to me. I feel like I kind of have a natural,
Well, I'm letting you
thirst for
know
knowledge
now.
and sharing. Yeah.
When you're ready to start taking astrology students, I'm in. I'm there.
Okay.
I want to take lessons from you because you
Yay.
have a way of phrasing things that gets through to me,
Good,
and
good. I'd like
I
to
appreciate that.
make it real, like interesting. Like I don't want to just throw all the words out at, because I think that's what the eyes glaze over, right? And that's where you have a division, right? I like want people to relate.
What you say about the eyes, that's what happened to me when I tried learning astrology. And when I bought the book, the lady at the shop I worked with looked at it. She went, "Okay,
Okay.
like, good luck with that."
Yeah, yeah, no, but
It's
like
like I can
it's
do it.
time and small bits or whatever, because you don't you don't want to go all the way over here and not have like really build up your awareness of the other, and you're going to know
Yeah.
so much more than you give yourself credit for knowing right now. You're going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, and just take a little bit and really think about what it is and break it down into something that's relatable. And I heard Mary and Kay say that too, and I'm a firm believer in that. I want to simplify it, not dumb it down, but simplify it, and
Oh no, no.
to treat it like it's a real thing, like not just these terms and things like,
I
yeah.
might need you to dumb down a little bit of it. All right. I do have
No.
trouble taking in knowledge sometimes. I do have a lot of aha moments, like,
Yeah. I have a lot
oh,
of
okay, I finally
patience.
get it. All good,
I'm
all good,
infinitely
girl.
patient. I have twin toddlers. I'm very patient.
No, Jenny, no. You're learning tarot right now. Actually, tarot astrology is part of the course you're going to be getting. So,
Yeah.
patience. Um, the moon represents illusion, dreams, and the
Ooh,
subconscious. It is a card of Pisces.
yeah. But
That's why
in
we
by
align.
astrology, it's Cancer. Yeah.
Did I say
I was.
no? In astrology, the moon is Cancer. In
Mhm.
tarot, the moon is Pisces. That's what confuses me about it.
Yeah. See, and I really, really like look at the high priestess as like Pisces, and um,
So you got it backwards. I mean, you're flipping them. It's you're not backwards.
mhm.
I do that
Yeah,
with some cards also,
and that's
especially the
fine.
court
It's
cards.
like what works for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. The court cards, when I do add astrology into them, it's tends to be flippied around from the general astrology of the court cards.
Mhm.
Um, because it works for me. That's the system I've developed for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. And then
Um,
I'm learning classical, and I do acknowledge like Neptune and all that too, but um I also know like it expands on it, like where you look at Pisces. Pisces is originally like ruled by Jupiter, and then you just think of Jupiter as like expanding and growing, and then you add the Neptune to it, and you add that added layer, and I think it like solidifies even more and builds on the knowledge to understand why it was that way to
yes,
begin with. Yeah.
Neptune is what the hanged man, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
see what everybody's saying. I keep having to lean up to look at the screen because I sat on or lost one of the lenses out of my glasses a
I'm
few weeks
laughing at
ago.
what Heather said. Yeah. Glazes. Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
right? That's what I'm saying. And I recognize that look in my students sometimes when I'm teaching a class or in trying to relate a concept,
Yeah.
and I see that look, and I'm like, okay, slow your ass down, go about it a different way,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the question I
The
want to
moon.
ask is, what are you afraid of? What
Oh,
scares you? but I don't
Security.
necessarily think you need to if you don't want to throw your fears all over the internet. But
I mean, like I'm a Taurus moon, okay, and the moon is where your fears are in your astrology chart a lot of the times. That inner self where we see things that where things are that not everybody else sees unless you allow it to or you become closer, right? So my fear, it really Taurus in the second house, we like things to be secure. So sometimes the unknown does scare me. But I just like to know that I'm gonna have a house to live in or whatever. I don't need like a bunch of stuff. But I that's where I have fears the most is like, yeah. And it trickles down into other things where something like, like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna walk away from that or whatever. But I mean, let's be real. Like, I need to be able to eat, and I need to, I mean, and it just depends how bad it
reality,
is. Okay, right, right.
yeah.
Reality, yeah. So, those are kind of like my biggest fears. In that's where like I have that practical grounded side of me in the Taurus.
My biggest fear is not being there for the people who need me.
Oh,
And
that is so sweet. That's so
I'm
kind.
afraid that I have FOMO. I'm constantly awake. I have anxiety that my husband he needs the machine to breathe. I was gonna say a pap smear, a
Oh.
CPAP. He's got a CPAP. I was gonna say a pap smear. Um,
Love it.
he wears a CPAP, and before he
Yeah,
had it,
yeah.
I didn't know anything about sleep apnea, and I
I'm
noticed
very
one night
familiar with it, yeah.
he wasn't breathing, and it scared the hell out of me.
Right?
And I had to wake him up, and he's like,
My
"What?"
husband's the set.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, you're not breathing. Shut up.
No, I'm like,
Um,
there's a
it's
serious, like, I mean, you're
scary.
cutting off oxygen to the brain. Like, your
Yeah,
brain needs oxygen. You can kill some brain cells and all kinds of stuff, right?
yeah,
It's kind of
it
scary.
is
Yeah.
scary, but that is my fear that if I fall asleep, we'll have power blackout, and
I used that
he'll
like with
die.
my first kid. Yeah. Like the first baby,
Oh
I'd
gosh,
like
yeah,
look
my
over and I'd
nieces
be
are
like,
like that.
and I would like listen. I'm like, I think I hear them breathing, in the middle of the night, or like look to see if I could see their chest move or whatever. Just little things like that. And then twins, it was like
Yeah,
survival.
it's I need to be there for the people around me. That's what matters to me most. But I also the one time my niece needed me, um, I wasn't there for her.
Hmm.
So that damaged me. And I need to deal with I can't be there for everybody all the time.
That's your
Okay.
big heart with the, Leo, all that heart.
I'm like, yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of that warm energy, we have the sun as our next card. The sun embodies joy, success, and vitality. It's also got
Creepy
that
baby.
creepy ass little baby.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, and you don't have to back up to the card, but like I'm just, sorry, I don't care. After you said pap smear, I was like, I don't care. I'm sharing this. That the moon card is my period card too. So it's
Yeah,
like,
a
well, look,
lot of women
because
I
you think about it's
know.
like cycles. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted
That's
to share that.
exactly one of the things that I do with the moon card is ask them about, and I tell people in my readings, I'm going to ask you personal things. Okay, we sometimes it has come up questions about their women's cycles, but
Mm-hmm.
I come at it from the angle of health. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not just wanting to know about your.
Yeah, that would just be weird, right?
That would just be creepy. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable here. I'm
Plus,
trying to.
when I was a nail tech and a hairstylist, I just got
Oh,
so
the
used
things
to
that
women
you heard?
opening up to me
Yeah.
about the weirdest things. Okay, I know more about the female anatomy, then any
Yeah,
straight or gay man has a right to know.
right. Because they're
Um,
sitting there, they can't go anywhere else. It's like, things that are bottled up, like you're literally a free therapist or whatever a little bit. And you don't
it
really want to
is.
hear all of it sometimes, but also too, they can't go anywhere. So awkward talk happens too.
There was sometimes I ran audiobooks through my hearing aids just so I didn't
Hmm.
have to listen to their awful
Yes.
stories that they were saying. And they want
Yeah.
confirmation that they're not being awful.
Right.
And like, you just told me you fed your dog a bunch of chocolate chip cookies and he died,
Yeah.
and now you want me to feel sorry for you.
Stop staining
Uh,
my psyche, right?
yeah, right. You're, I don't want to hear anymore. Stop. You know.
Yeah, you're staining it.
The son, when he comes along, just trumps everything. I'm assuming your
Yeah.
son spot is your kids, but
Hmm.
outside of your
I could see
kids,
one of them being that
no.
creepy baby. Happy. She's so totally like I wake up and wear color sunshine in the morning. She's just like she's so excited. She's totally like I could just see her being that little baby on that horse. It's funny.
That little baby scares the crap out of me. I'm not gonna lie. It's supposed to be Apollo, and that does not look like the Apollo
Well,
I grew
I'm
up
just thinking
with.
like, where's the parrot?
I said that with Dora the Explorer. I said, what kind of Mexican lets their kid run around the country like? Um,
Yeah.
you're a hoot. I'm enjoying you.
I'm enjoying this too. Yeah.
Outside of your family, what energizes you? What lights your fire? What just,
All this
it's
stuff.
got to be
Yeah.
something outside of your house.
My channel. And
Your
then I
channel, that's a
obviously,
great one.
yeah, my channel, cards, ideas, thoughts, books. I mean,
So
trying to
enriching.
break through the quantum layers. Yeah, astral. I mean, like all of it, right? And I love the go, like paranormal too. Love it, but tread with caution. Yeah, I
Stop staining my psyche. Everybody
yeah.
likes that one.
Yeah, I love food too. I
Oh,
love food and
and
good
Jenny
food.
says, y'all are hilarious. Uh, I know how to treat many men's issues as well as menopause. That's right. He's an
I'm sure,
acupuncturist.
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm sure you hear some stories too, Jonathan.
Oh, yeah.
When the sun card comes up, it tells me everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Even on the Ten of Swords, there's a
Yeah.
sun.
I also
Okay.
see clarity, and sometimes it's just like you know, when I don't feel like the rest of the reading is totally great, I see that like clarity that might be a little uncomfortable too. Like it's gonna whatever needs to come out from the shadows will be brought into the light as well with the sun. So as well.
Yeah,
And I really look at that though too when it comes into like pulling cards like when you're investigating things. Like cases or things like that. It's like when you see the sun card and if it confuses you why it's there, it's probably because like ding it will be seen or it has been seen, that kind of thing. So you gotta expand and think outside of it with that too. But
I
yes,
love that.
mostly the sun is happiness and embracing the joy and letting yourself be seen, right? Yeah.
I love that. See, you have a way with words that just makes me happy. That's why I was
Oh, thank
excited to
you.
talk to you about this because um, I do like to add the astrology aspect into my cards,
Hmm.
but a
Leo,
lot of
yeah.
people don't add that in, so I don't really have a lot of people to talk to about that. So it's fun talking about it with you because you're widening my mind on things that I was already comfortable with. That's cool.
Yeah, look at the
Judgment.
courts through the lens of astrology. makes it even more awesome.
I'm excited about the
Yeah.
process of it. So, judgment symbolizes rebirth, judgment, and an inner calling. This
Hmm.
is, we've been going for 2 hours. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Doesn't
We're
feel like
almost
it.
done.
But yeah,
I
we're
know, I
we're
didn't
almost
realize the
done.
time.
We're in the judgment, where
We're in the home stretch.
yes, yes, we are crossing over the threshold here of judgment into the world. Yes.
And when I think of the judgment card, I think of everybody
Looking at
rising
it.
up from the dead. That's the image I get, the transformation. Yes, one life has ended, your new one's about to start.
Hmm.
Here's your guide to the dead. Welcome to the club. Um,
Yeah.
you're off on a new journey. It's
Hmm.
not
Yeah.
necessarily that physical death, but that's what I think of when I see that card, that transformation from one
Yeah.
phase to another because of the Pluto aspect.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, it's
while I
very
got
transformative, but that takes time too. That's why, there's other decision cards that come up before that one, right?
right,
Before
this is
that
the
final
second to the
passage. It's
last
a big
card.
passage. Yeah, it's significant, right? To
Yes.
think of it in those terms too, because Pluto takes like about 250 years to change signs. So this is huge that we're about on the, I think on the 19th, it goes into Aquarius to stay there for like 240 something years, which is insanity, right? How that's how slow Pluto moves.
Jonathan says most people love Thoth because of astrology. I was thinking that she would like the Thoth cards too.
I need to
Uh,
go for it, but I had a little, I don't know, but I was really trying to understand tarot to begin with, and um the Rider Waite. At first I was like, I just don't like these,
I
images and
don't
stuff,
either.
but once I started like learning from them and everything, and then also learning the story of Pamela Coleman Smith and
Yeah.
learning all these stories, and then
See?
I was like, oh wow, I was like, I don't know how I feel about Crowley or whatever, but I'm more and more interested in like open into just exploring it, and I don't I can have I can have a connection with a system, but not always agree with everything that somebody did because none of us are perfect, right?
I teach Thoth. Um, I don't get a lot of students for the Thoth. I really don't.
Yeah, but I mean, I
It's a
think it's
destination deck.
yeah. I really like all the terms though too. The Lord of, that really ties into that astrology and helps you understand it even more. I like that part.
Yeah.
I
That's
keep a
why I
chart of
like the
that.
Hermetic Tarot. It's along the same lines. The Lord of
Yeah,
Flames. The yeah, I
yeah.
get what you're saying.
But they take some time, so it's like to learn. And I mean, me personally, I like that wouldn't be the first one that I would learn. Um, just if you were learning. And that's just
No,
my
if you, I
opinion.
mean,
It's my
it's
opinion only.
it's its own system.
Yeah,
It's its own
exactly.
system completely. It's
Yeah.
Golden
Hmm.
Dawn. It
Exactly.
works with the four worlds of creation from fire, and instead of kings or air, normally kings are it's
Kings are
the
knights,
court.
right?
Kings are
Yeah,
knights, and
yeah,
then you've
yeah.
got knights or princes, and pages or princesses.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a whole different court structure and is based on the Kabbalah, and we don't have time to go into it now. What I wanted to ask you was the do you think it's weird that this has nothing to do with you at all? It's just your input as an astrologer. Do you
Mhm.
think it's weird that Pluto, the planet of transformation, has undergone so many transformations?
Like irony.
Yeah, the irony of it, it's a planet. It's not a planet. It's a planet. It's a meteor. It's not a planet. It's a moon.
I'm
What?
a dwarf. Yeah, now I'm a dwarf
Yeah,
planet.
what
Yeah, I want a shirt,
Marion said.
it's like
It's
don't forget Pluto or like,
yeah.
I'm gonna get a
Marion
shirt
was
like yeah.
very firm about it. She's like, it's a
Remember.
planet. Uh, if you start with thought, it's a whole different way of looking at things. Yes.
Yeah.
I do have people that have
And then they're
started with
bored to
dog.
tears with RWS. My teacher
Honestly, that's
teaches
what it
in a
is.
very super fun way, though. Like those little things, exercises, like, when I told you the six of
I
pence and
like
things
it.
like that. Yeah,
Mhm.
it makes it fun.
I have to have fun. I get
Yeah,
bored if I don't.
me too.
If you're serious about being a tarot nerd, you need to know the main three systems of tarot: Marseille,
Marseille,
Void,
yeah.
and Thought. That is true, and I know all three. Thank you, I'm a tarot nerd.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know more about thought than I give myself credit for because I, like have been interested in because I use it to understand the cards I'm reading too, like more. I like some of the theories and ideas behind it. So, and now I have just a solid ground. Like I feel like I could read it in an interesting way now. It'll grow. Yeah, that would be. I need to. I just need to do it. Marseille, I struggle with because it's so pippy, right?
It's a pippy. Yeah,
It's so pippy. But I like the archon, the imagery. They look so beautiful.
Mama D
Some
teaches
people,
Marseille.
yeah, some people think
That's
like,
her jam.
and I can see where with the Marseille, sometimes people with the art and the images, it's distracting for them. And sometimes like they say, like, I can actually tap into my intuition better. And I respect that. Each to their own. And I have
That's
nothing
what D
against
says.
Marseille. Yeah.
Hip decks, I'm with you. They're not my favorite decks.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
It's
this is
whatever works
the
for you is right
True
for
Black is
you.
a pip deck at
Hmm.
its base, but I still love it. I just wish it
I
was
have
easy to
a
shuffle.
few. It's because they have to do something with the pips that's very clever to me, where I look and I'm like, I showed this deck yesterday on my channel, and
Ooh.
the wands and that, like not all of it's, but the wands are, and I was just like looking, and it made me, as long as it makes me think about why they place something, where it just doesn't seem like
Mhm.
arbitrary, right? Or where they just got bored and just were like, ah, wands. I feel like there's so many pretty decks like that though. They put all the energy into the majors, and then you're like looking at the minors, and you're like, wow, I
Right?
don't feel anything here on any of these. What the
You're like,
heck?
this is crap.
Why do I want to pay 80? Why do I want to pay 60 bucks for you? Like you just
It's a
checked out on
lot.
the rest of the art, right?
That's the whole thing. I'm afraid to get the um what's the mate to the True Black, the white one, the Ethereal deck.
Hmm.
Um, it's it's $100, and before I shell out $100, I want to know if I vibe with it. So I'm waiting to run into somebody who has one before I purchase it.
Yes. I got this one for right now because it's the seventh the seventh edition of it, the Cesarabito. And they had a misprint and put two five of cups, and they needed a five of wands and a five of cups. So she um went and she put a replacement card that's only the slightest like little bit of difference, but it's like $25, and then there's like a 20% off code in the thing right now, and she still has some left if they're still there. Like, how could I not do that? It's a beautiful deck. Oh my god, I'm digging
I
it.
had to replace a card recently, and I was
Sassy
surprised
burrito, yeah.
that they sent it to me for free. I was very happy.
And I got
US
some like cute
Games.
little prizes in there with thing. Like, I'm so happy with this deck.
I just
Like
want
it
to get on their
can't.
list to be a deck opener person, a boxer.
Yes. Yes. I love I love new decks and tarot. It's like my little babies.
So, you ready for the last card? The world.
Absolutely. Naked
The
dancing
world isn't
lady.
a
Yeah.
difficult, but yeah, the world isn't really a difficult card. It's just the culmination of our
Hmm.
discussion.
Yeah.
It represents completion,
Yeah. And then you
achievement,
start again. Yeah.
and fulfillment, and it leads us into the next one with the Fool. But I associate the world with Saturn. Okay.
Absolutely.
We people are
Yeah.
like, well, how can you do that? Saturn is so restrictive. Well,
Well,
yeah,
she's in a ring. She's in a wreath. A circle is
it
right around
pulls
her.
you. This is the way I look at it. Saturn pulls the energy in to give birth to something.
Hmm.
Okay,
It's a
that's
long
the
game.
card's message. Yeah, it. I like answers when I read cards. If
Hmm.
I don't see an answer, I will keep shuffling those babies until I get an answer. I don't leave my,
Me too.
I cannot leave a client hanging. Okay, I don't want to be one of those Miss Cleo TV types. And that broke my heart when I found out she was an actress. I'll have you know. Um, you're like, she was an actress?
I didn't get that
Um,
far with her.
oh, and
Oh,
people are like, yeah, she was an
that's
actress. I was like, you
horrible.
don't get
Yeah,
it.
but
I
that
was a
makes sense
young
though.
tarot reader, you know.
Yeah, it makes sense. So
Oh, who is, it's not, if, Heather, can you Google what the white deck is for me? Um, the mate to the true black that Arthur Wang put out.
the sister director of the True Black. Okay, yeah.
Names get changed up. Oh,
Baby
talking
dragon.
about changing the name. When do you feel any sense of restriction in your spirituality right now?
Yeah, I feel some restrictions. I feel restricted by my environment sometimes. And yeah, when you get like conflicting energies in your environment. So
It,
yeah,
it
I,
was
I
the
I feel some restrictions there. And then also too, it's just this I chose to be a mother. This is just what life is too for me. And some things just kind of have to be on hold just a little bit. But you know what? I thought, screw it. Like I'm still doing my channel. And I tell people, I'm like, if you don't like the sound of kids in the background, like they're being very well taken care of, and I check and like I'm not
honestly, I
on
don't
there all day.
notice
Yeah.
it until you point it out. I don't really notice it when you say, "Oh, sorry about my."
Well, I
I
can
have.
because they're super more loud in person, and I can hear it's like, oh,
I'm so
but I
used
just
to my
refuse to like
clients.
not do this at all, just because I'm like, because I want them to see that mom does other things too, right? And for that to be empowering for
Diverse.
them to chase and do things and make that important because that's a big part of who we are. Like if we just and if it's like a job like I mean, oh my God, you like won the lotto when you get to do what you love for a living, right? And then it just has other prices and they're right. But if you're one of those lucky fools, like then this doesn't apply to you. But like you if you just go to work all day, I mean, you're just like, you don't do anything that brings you joy. Like, what the heck, you know? It's got to be something that brings you joy, even if it's just, I mean, not just gardening. I have no skills in gardening.
Where do you see your spirituality leading you in the future? In which direction?
I see. Well, I've just started, opening up uh, the ability for like private tarot reading with me. Um, and left my information on that. So that's something I would like to build up to be able to because I'd like to connect and talk and it's a conversation, right? So here's the cards and you know they're a tool just in the process. Like the answers are within you. It's just a tool to help us see it more clearly, right? So I like that. It's very therapeutic. And then hopefully maybe building up to teaching and really like taking off with this astrology stuff. Like I want to do, I really like exploring with astrology like I do in tarot and investigating things, trying to figure out, cases and uh, and figuring out how to use those tools in that way. And then I like doing pet readings Saturday.
That's what Dee does. You should talk to her. She loves that.
Yeah, yeah, I love pets. Um, so I want to do. My teacher said he could teach me because a lot of the times with a pet, you're not going to know their birth date. I mean, any pet I had, I'm like, I have no
I
clue. I'm just looking at her mannerisms, and now I can be like, I think that she was this.
right. You're finding physical cues instead of
But he said there's a
spiritual
way
ones.
that we could work around that to be able to make that a service. I would love to be able to offer that and just see how that grows and builds. The biggest thing for me is I just I've been writing, probably writing like poetry and stuff, but it's just I don't want to. I the possibilities are open. I'm open to possibilities, and just seeing what happens and goes it goes forward. As long as I'm having a good time and feel joy with it, and I feel like I am being myself and staying that way and helping. Uh, just as long as I feel it's positive, I'll keep going.
Awesome.
So I don't know. There's not an easy answer to that.
No, there's not. That's why I asked it.
Yeah.
I need you to do two last follow-up questions for me, and then you have completed the journey.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the eyebrow wiggle. She says, maybe Bobby just wants my dad. Yeah, I do. Um, the two follow-up questions are, would you be excited, worried, or thrilled if your children suddenly started exhibiting, that's the word, exhibiting strong abilities? How would you react?
Ooh.
I mean,
I
like
don't know.
I'll give you a for instance.
Interested.
My mom was a nail
Yeah.
tech.
And
When I
caring.
grew up,
Yeah.
I was a nail tech. And I
Hmm.
told her, Mom, I'm going to be like you. I'm following in your footsteps. I thought she'd be excited. She wasn't. She was pissed. Okay.
Mm.
She said, my back is bad from leaning over. My wrist is bad from carpal tunnel syndrome. And I knew all this, but
Mhm. Mhm.
um, she didn't want me to do it. Would this be something you're for or against your kids doing? That's a
That's
good
a
question.
yeah, but it depends like what they want to do too. But I would rather to be able to like it be a something that I'm able to
Have an input in it?
share wisdom with, right? From experiences. And but also though too, I feel like it's important because it is like a type of journey. I'm always going to be like there's always that practical side of me too. It's like and that's what I want to show them. It's like, yes, I'm your mom, but I'm doing something like I like too. Like, don't give up things that you like to do, but just like, let's just make sure that we can, you know, keep a roof over our heads today, like,
Mhm.
and be realistic and practical, and actually have a goal and see what happens and let it come and build itself, right? So, I would feel protective in that sense. So,
Mhm. I get
it's
that.
a
It's a
controversial thing, but I'm just being real.
Mhm. Ladies and gentlemen, that was our last question. I'm going to have to end the stream now,
Yeah.
but thank you, Karen, for Kevin. Thank you, Kevin, for being
Anyway,
here today.
you're
I
welcome.
appreciate you allowing me to discuss this with you. And everybody,
Yeah.
please join me on the next episode when Kristen will be on my channel and we'll be discussing her journey. So, bye, everybody. Love you.
Goodbye. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a